Once Michael Jaco with Unleashing Intuition Secrets, joined once again by Sheila Holm. We're going to be talking about the recent shooting of one of the most prominent people in the truther community, I would say, Charlie Kirk, and he recently supposedly was assassinated. By who and what was the reasoning? We're going to talk a little bit about that. Sheila, thanks for joining us.
It is so horrific to realize what is just happening.
Yeah.
But it is what we've been climbing toward without realizing it, because none of this is new. In fact, is point 42 in the 45 points. I don't know why it's that far back, because this is what they've done from the beginning of our nation. The whole socialist, anti-fascist, fascism, socialism, Nazism, communism, it's all been wrapped up into one bundle since the 1700s here in America, teaching our youth.
Now, you talk, like you said, you talk about this in your book. Would you like me to share that chapter?
If we go to point 42, that's all on the student unrest.
So this is it here with Ulysses S. Grant.
This is where it starts. Ulysses S. Grant was our last Republic president.
Yep.
And he brought back everything. This is the ending, I think, of takeover before they're self-governing. That's why the Pilgrims banned the entire pagan Gentile worship, because it says all throughout Scripture, don't learn what these people do, don't do what these people do, but you need to be aware of what these people do. And just on the page before this is when he's at the end of the Civil War, and see the difference. There's only two parties, traitors and patriots, and that's where we are today. None of this has changed. But when he went on to become president, he's the one that signed the laws that brought all the pagan worship, Gentile worship, back into America. That is all the satanic feasts and festivals. It has nothing to do with us, has nothing to do with Scripture, has nothing to do with the living Lord. And that's what Charlie Kirk was up against by sharing the truth. And I've never seen anyone who could debate like he could. No matter what somebody came at him with, he knew exactly. And it's almost as though he was beyond a Bible scholar.
Yeah.
Because then here we are. Ulysses S. Grant, by the time he's been the president, he signed Christmas back into law in 1870, which is their 13 high holy days of the Satanists of the entire year. And then Ishtar Easter, he signed that back in 1873. So he's the one that signed all this back in. And that's what you find as you become president. You've got to do what they want you to do. Trump has been the first one that has just gone against absolutely everything. That's why they've done everything to destroy him. How many impeachments? Aren't they in the process of trying to do a third one?
There's talk of it, but they don't have the numbers. If the Democrats get control of the House again, they'll probably start to run it through again. Yeah.
Wow. Here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are. But if you go into the next chapter is the student unrest. And
right at the bottom of the page, I'd like to read that, because it's basically what you're talking about. Many decades were spent developing the plan on how to indoctrinate and manipulate the younger generations to separate from family members and people in the community. There it is, right there. Just what you want to talk about. You have it in this book. Amazing.
Well, and we've been talking ever since my first book about the faith monument, because it's the 4 pillars on how to raise a child the way they should go. But with both parents working and with travel and with sometimes both parents deployed because they're both in the military, I mean, what's happened to the family, but that's the whole 45 points. Destroy every angle of the family, completely separate, divide and conquer, get the students away from the family. And so, as you'll see in the next 2 chapters, this is the brand new one, that they've merged everything. That's why I shared this yesterday on social media, is that this is their new one that they're now saying. They're anti everything.
It's insane. But this goes all the way back to the communists, the fascists in Italy. Antifa, I think, was flying this flag at one time as well. So yeah, it is very much into the nation. So I was telling you, I have Leo Zagami, who's been talking about this, of course, Italian, and he said that this this all fits in all the way back to Mussolini, and it comes forward to today.
And FDR loved what Mussolini did. He stated it many times. Wow. And the man who came from Italy to help was a politician that helped Albert Pike set up the New World Order in Charleston, South Carolina. That man was named Giuseppe Mazzini. And in 1860, he started the mafia in Italy. He's the one that created it out of nothing. They always seem like this is all brand new and we're going to put this in. And so in 1860, he created that. And then in 1871, he was a right-hand guy to Albert Pike, who brought the 33rd degree Masons from all over the world to put the world order, to move it from Germany to America in 1871.
Yeah, and here we have, the supposed shooter. I and other people are saying that this guy wasn't the shooter. It doesn't fit. There's too many inconsistencies. Charlie Kirk himself looks like to me, it looks staged, but there was obviously a plan to assassinate him, I believe, and it goes all the way to Netanyahu. So I think that the Zionists are very much involved in this. But look at this video. It shows the guy running. So somebody's actually working the video to zero in on this guy. I think he's a patsy. So you can see him running behind so somebody zoomed in on him. So somebody.
Well, what's interesting? Did you see any police tape? Did you see anybody cordoning off anything? Did you see anybody say it was a crime scene? Did you see anybody?
Exactly.
I mean, it just.
So here he is, supposedly jumping off with the rifle, which ends up in the woods. That was not the Mauser, supposedly, that ended up in the woods. That's not a rifle there. You can tell by the way it swings around. There's no anything in there. So there's a lot of stuff here that is basically doesn't fit. And figuring out exactly who's involved here and what they're doing is something that we need to really get to the bottom of.
Well, there's more reports that he called his roommate and had his roommate go get whatever was in the woods and turn that in. But he drives 4 hours to his family and then tells his family but there are concerns as to who he has become. And that's that indoctrination, what you just read. Right. All of this.
And I think this is what they're trying to reveal, regardless of whether you think that somebody's involved in this. I think the Trump shooting also was a big reveal. Assassination attempt at Butler, PA. This is another reveal for us. As far as like trying to wake up our country to extreme evil that's trying, like you are doing with your work and your book, which is these shows that we're doing are getting monumental views. So people are connecting with this. So you're bringing a really good message here. What are your thoughts as far as helping people to understand what's going on?
Well, it was all a build up to separate the children from the parents and grandparents. I think we mentioned this when we were on with General Valalay. The goal is to separate them from their parents and grandparents. And nobody wanted to believe me in Georgia. And this is back when the first book came out in 2016. And into 2017. And a woman in Americus, Georgia, was down in Florida visiting her daughter and the grandson. And the grandson came home from school. He's like a first or second grader. And on the corner of his homework, it said, "Trust the government. Your parents and grandparents are going to die. The government will always be here for you." Okay, that's been the message. It was subtle, but that was the message when I went to school too, is that, the government is your future. The government is what's there. See what you can do for your government. So that's what they were proceeding to separate us away from the family. So point 42 is all about the student unrest. And the student unrest, I put in all the symbols. In fact, it was the Students for a Democratic Society that tried to recruit me because I was a national debate champion in my senior year back when Tom Hayden created it. Jane Fonda's first husband. She went from Tom Hayden to and Turner. There isn't much difference between the two guys and what their agenda was for the future of this nation. But I was dumbfounded because I was raised right. I was raised with the truth, and so it's like I don't want anything to do with any of this. And my debate partners at that conference, because you had to change debate partners as you went through, they all were writing, come on, we got to do this, we got to make it a better America. And that's what they think it's going to be, but it's all socialism. So in chapter 42, I put all these symbols in, and I put them out on Twitter yesterday. I don't know if we can bring that up, but on Twitter, I put out all the symbols because it goes from their campaign slogans, and the three arrows down that you saw on that one, and the flags are on all of it. And the three arrows down, they use a pitchfork with three down with the Satan angles on the bottom of the pitchfork. I mean, it's all the same thing, and it's all Nazism, communism, fascism, socialism, and they say it's anti-fascist, and they're trying to point to children that Trump is a fascist and Charlie Kirk is a fascist. And so what they're doing is they're bringing the lies right into the front of the conversation, because it's them as fascists trying to make us fascists so that the students will then get rid of us, because it's always been about getting rid of the true speakers, the believers. That's been the goal from the very beginning. This is going, seriously, goes all the way back to the garden. And people said, well, Noah came, that changed everything, and Sheila, it all started over, and you can't say it goes back to the garden. What did God say? Noah was the only righteous one. His great grandson was Nimrod, that brought all this back full circle, and he's considered deified in Egypt as Osiris. His mother, who had a baby with him, is Ishtar, Isis, and the son is Horus. I mean, it's just, how much further deep can you go into all of this craziness? So this is now a combination. The flags have been shared constantly, but you see the three pointing down? Those are the types of bottoms at the ends of the pitchfork on their emblems. So I put them all out on Twitter yesterday, and then they're all in chapter 42. I just copied them and put them out, took three three tweets to get all the photos in. They're all the same. They're all the same message. And the Young People's Socialist League, and people wrote back to me and they said, these are just logos that adults are using on the children. No, it's not. They're having children believe in this and want to become members in this, and then take their actions and do what they want you to do. This isn't just logos, guys. This is a whole ideology that they're indoctrinating your children, and you're paying all this money in these universities. And what did we see when Trump got in the first time? They were breaking down barricades and doing horrific protests and burning things on campuses and ruining campuses. I mean, because this is what they believe. You got to tear down who they are. Who's the they that you're fighting? You're fighting the truth.
And that's what Charlie Kirk was doing. He was going on those campuses. I mean, there were times where they had to cancel his events because there was so much violence before he even showed up. So yeah, you're right. They're really pushing this violence, and so to them, because we're fascist, we're conservative. We want the family. We want to build America, through merit and so forth. We're the ones that they're trying to portray, like you're saying, as fascist. And from that portrayal, anything they do to us, even to the point of killing us, like Charlie Kirk, is okay. And this is what fascists have been doing all the way back to World War II, Nazi Germany and Italy and Japan. So yeah, we're in a bad state, and we have to educate people the correct way, which Charlie Kirk was trying to do, but that's unfortunately got stopped out, and that sends a message to other influencers like ourselves that we're gunning for you. So that's not a good thing right now.
Well, it's the same messages as World War II. They called them the brown shirts. They were all the ones that joined the same youth socialist league, Young People's Socialist League. They changed the logos. It's what they look like, but they all had the same emblems. It really doesn't matter. And now the Socialist League of the two hands sharing, that's identical. I think we talked about this before on an interview. It's the identical symbol as the AFL-CIO. It's Workers Unite. And this is People Unite globally. World Unite is what it is. It's world order. And they want you going in that direction. And it's very subtle, but these kids are falling for it. And he was using all the same terminologies. So he's been indoctrinated in this process.
Yeah, it's ongoing. And the only thing
Mhm.
that's going to stop this is if we, start to reveal it more. So I think that's what we're seeing right now with President Trump, having the flags at half staff. That's bringing attention to it. What do you think is going to happen going forward?
Well, we're already taking action. Did you see where the professors who were celebrating the youth who were against Charlie and the language that they're using in it, et cetera, these people are being fired from their jobs. There's whole videos coming out today of all the people being fired. How did two people, there was an Anastasia that came out with a book about his
Right.
death on the 9th, and how did another one come out from Andrew West, came out on the 10th? How does this happen? And God bless Derek Johnson, but he said it takes 72 hours to get a book out, so it really came out faster. But if it is already approved through editing, your book gets released within 24 hours. And
Well, yeah, that
so,
Anastasia that was actually came out the day before.
mm-hmm.
And there was like a news article or something, like 19 hours before or something like that.
Three headlines of top newspapers, and that was the New York Times. These guys are
Right.
they're all in on it, the same as we're still where we were under JFK when he was speaking to the press, and they had to get rid of him because he was saying we gotta stop this because we're causing war in our own land. And but those three papers exactly 19 hours before made that announcement that he had died, and 19 is their power number. That's why the Georgia Guidestones were exactly 19 feet tall. Everything they do
Wow.
is how they do what they do. And doing it in advance, telling you in advance what they're going to do. We've talked about that before on the TVs and the news and the media, in the movies, and all they use is to tell us this is how it's going to go, and you just think you're watching a segment of something.
Yeah, definitely. So that's good. So we're reveal, there is the reveal that's going on. Uh, there's one gentleman that had footage of an airplane coming in and dropping people off close to that venue. Came in a certain time frame, and it's I guess connected to someone that's like a Zionist and so forth. So again, it seems like this Zionist connection. There's so many different reasons I think they killed JFK, but one of them has been revealed that he started to promote the Palestinians, and so they're saying that the Zionists took him out, and then we saw Charlie Kirk basically from that incursion into Israel from Palestine. Basically, they Hamas and so forth. They said that that was a real event. Everyone that's looked at that is like that was staged, and they allowed that to happen. It took them 6 hours or something like that to respond. I mean, Israel is a very small country. There's no way that the military could not respond almost instantaneously, but it took them 6 hours. So Charlie Kirk started to see that, and I guess he was going to meet with uh, Netanyahu a week and a half from the time that he was killed. So there's a lot of people are saying there's connection there. We saw in the Q post that Israel will be last. And what are your thoughts on that?
Well, Israel is Israel is blessed the people. Jacob became Israel in 1906 BC. So that was 500 years before Moses. And so Israel is not the people who are in a corporation state of Israel over on that land in Israel. And that's what's confused people, is because they felt that America was behind giving the Israelites their land back. They didn't give anything back to the Israelites because the Israelites who sold everything to try and go home couldn't go home. They haven't been there since 721 BC. The tribes in the north, and 587, 586 BC was when the two tribes in the south were taken. And they ended up being marched off to Babylon, but they only took the wealthy ones. They only took the producing ones. So if they've been gone for that long, who is there? So It's a whole process that we haven't understood because we live in a fairy tale of partial scriptures and we've never researched for the truth. And so we hear a little story and it sounds nice. Noah landed and everything was new and fresh and there was two of everything. And that's like a fairy tale. It doesn't just turn out that way. And his sons and his own wife were Canaanites. And so, since his wife was a Canaanite, and he tried to rein them in, but there was trouble as soon as they landed. I mean, it's just they don't research and find out the truth. And so, if those tribes have been gone since 721 BC and 587 BC, the Philistines are the Palestinians who were the conquerors of the land. And if they've had the land all during that time, just because somebody says, now we're going to make you a state of Israel and we're going to register you in London and you're going to be official, what does that mean? And I don't think any of this has been resolved. I'm not a diplomat. I'm not a warrior like you who's been through this and understands some of these things. I'm just saying from a biblical standpoint, the sons, the tribes of Israel, formerly Jacob, from the line of Adam, and then Abraham, from that lineage, they weren't there. They've been on all, God sent them to all the uninhabited lands for their protection. That's why when the pilgrims knew this, they brought the truth here. And imagine how they felt. They just got the truth because everything was happening. That whole Gregorian Pope Gregory calendar was happening, and they started putting their money together to leave. It was the third time they came by 1620. Why was it so crucial by 1620? Their families already knew every 20 year and every century they have a pandemic and kill people in Europe. And it's happened. I've gone all the way back to the 1300s. This is going to be in book 6. Wow. But all these pandemics had happened on 20 years. So they wanted to get over here, and they got over here, as many of them out of their families they could by 1620. So that's why it was so key to them. But we don't even begin to understand what they were coming away from because that calendar is so screwed up. That's in the personal letter in the front of the new book. I didn't understand the whole truth of that until God revealed it. And even though a lot of the sections in the book were briefly described in the book series, my goodness, they're just an appetizer compared to what he revealed for the new book, because he was getting me ready to understand. Because if I'm going to explain it, I have to go so deep with him. And I don't know another way to say this. I'm not trying to say it because I'm not loved by God 1 ounce more than anybody who's hearing any of this. But he has to take me so deep into the truth that I can understand it enough to explain it. Like that sentence, I wouldn't even remember that sentence was there, and you pick up on it. It's just like the first time we did the interview on the new book, and you took us to page 28 and knew that they had to kill truth. They hated truth that much that they had to put him on the cross. They couldn't have the truth shared with the people. So this, seriously, I cannot express it any differently than, guys, this goes all the way back to the garden. It goes, because Christ came, I mean, we're almost to the 7,000 years. And so here we are. And everyone thinks in 2027 it's all going to be over. And all I can say, guys, is that we don't know the timing. Our calendar has been totally messed up. We don't know what it is. And as I've said, if Christ is actually seated on the right hand, which he is, and he isn't aware of the timing, then all I can say is we got to possess until they come. And that's also in scripture, that get your job done. Let's get this truth out to the people. Let's make sure that we save as many people as possible. That was the whole goal of being here. But the world, look what the world did to us. They took us on this whole path that in the end means absolutely nothing. In 1 second, you don't have a breath and your life is done. Oh, good. We can see some of these symbols.
Yeah, and this is from your X account, Nation Restoration. And yeah, these are interesting.
I couldn't fit them all in, but you see how they're all the same. If you go back to that campaign emblem in the one right below that's all red background and click on that capitalist,
this
the one down, the next group down. See that one?
Yeah.
Fight capitalism and its parties. Do you see what I mean? So that's why there's no difference between the parties. We're fighting everybody. They're a uniparty. It's the one that's got the red background with the three arrows against the parties. Probably the next one, right there. Did you know that they had a separate socialist candidate? His name's guy was Eugene Debs, I believe. This is in my 5th book, I think, in the series too. He ran every single time for president. He was a Bernie Sanders of the day, and he kept getting more votes. Remember what happened to Bernie Sanders when he got more votes? They gave him a bunch of money, and he bought a vacation home, and
That's right.
he
Yeah.
backed away.
I think it's what, 2 or
Because what
3
they
homes
did,
now every,
yeah,
so
they put
he'll run
Eugene.
next time and he'll get a 3rd home because he'll get the
There you
vote.
go.
They'll just buy him
And
off again. Yep.
exactly. And so what did they do with this guy? They put Eugene Debs in prison. See what they do? They put him in prison, and as soon as the election was over, guess what? He gets out and he gets clemency from the president. But they put him in prison so he doesn't. But while he was in prison, because he had run all those elections, the people were so upset. He got more votes than he ever did in his entire lifetime, and he was running for president several elections. I don't remember the number right now, but his name was Eugene Debs, and he was the Bernie Sanders of back in that time in the early 1900s.
Wow.
So, but that's how popular it was. So we don't understand our history, but see how they're trying those 3 same symbols, and they're not just fascists, they're Satanists. All of this was during all of the fires that were happening out in that part of the country and the BLM and Antifa.
Yeah.
This was all happening all at the same time, and all of these symbols are identical.
Satanic Portland. Wow. Anti-fascist. So they're against fascism, but they're actually the real fascist.
Yes.
And this is what we're starting to see. This is the deep state, the New World Order. They're communist. So the liberals is just another name for communists. They just hid themselves under the name liberals. And the liberals are all over the world. There's huge protests as we're speaking right now in the UK. Well over 1 million people are marching through the streets against this. So it is a worldwide movement against the deep state, the New World Order.
Well, I just saw a brand new one that just was coming out as we were going on, and that is Unite the Kingdom, the UK, Unite the UK, and they've got all the police behind them, and the streets are full of people with pride in their UK flag, the British flag, and they're marching, and Sydney, Australia is marching against all of this. All of this is happening today.
Good.
And all worshiping and praise Liberty University that went through all their struggles. Liberty University has had this big uprising for Charlie Kirk. It's amazing what's happening around the world.
Yeah, let's see if we can get any videos. There's Elon Musk.
There's the UK.
Even Elon Musk is involved here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty impressive.
Now remember, they were just saying the Muslims had totally taken over the UK.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It wasn't just the mayor of London. It was.
I know, not
totally
just the mayor took over. Yeah, the people. The people. We have to push back because they're trying to take over our world through this action that they're doing right now, and trying to kill off those people that are trying to help people see what the problem is here. The Charlie Kirks of the world. And they try to kill President Trump and on and on. So are we going to just let them? No, we have to stand up like the people like you're talking about in UK and Australia are standing up and starting to march and push back. This is the New World Order. They can't survive if we work together. Now they've tried to cancel us out. They did that J6 and that has not worked so well. That's come back on them. They're being exposed for that. The election's still 2020. There's many things that are being exposed. And now they're killing off, Charlie Kirk, or there's a reveal there, a massive reveal that's happening there. Whether he was killed, I don't believe he was actually killed. I think they basically staged it. They were probably planning on killing him. And just like I think they planned to kill President Trump, and they kind of hijacked that and made it seem like he was being shot, but that's basically exposing the deep state. So what are your thoughts? Or who's next? Who do you think they'll go after next?
Well, this indoctrination, I think, is the focus for us to talk about, because this indoctrination happened quickly. This kid was only, let's just say that was this kid, and he's
Right.
22.
Right.
Every one of his documented on the different things about the gun, about the ammunition, all of the wording was World War II, socialist, Nazism, communism, fascism comments.
Right.
And how would he know that at 22, except to be indoctrinated in that? Okay. And what they were saying is he didn't like the university, so he went to a tech school. His life partner is supposedly a transgender. I mean, you look at all of this that has happened. And when he just met with his family members not so long ago for a family gathering, they couldn't believe what was coming out of him, because it's like they didn't even know him anymore. That's
Wow.
how fast it can happen. And that's why I don't know if you want to pull up the chapter 42 in the book and just quickly scroll through, because you're not going to believe what 41 is. I mean, after you get the student unrest comes after the point right before. So this is 43, the end of 43.
Does it go this way or the other way?
Goes this way, should go this way.
Oh,
See all of the
there's the symbols we're
symbolism.
talking about. Yeah.
Paramilitary 33, and it just keeps
Wow.
expanding. All the symbols are the same. BLM, Antifa, they were burning Bibles and books in World War II. They did the same thing in Antifa, BLM. And you see how the Communist Party, Black Lives Matter, People's Party, they're all the same.
Wow. Incredible. Yeah, this is
The-
a exceptional reveal.
mm-hmm.
Exceptional reveal. Wow, you're doing such great work. You want to go further?
And yeah, we keep going further, see what they draw them into, all sorts of societies. People
Wow.
think it's just the Masons, but it's not. There's youth in there too. Job's Daughters, Rainbow Girls, Demolay.
Even the
It's all,
Demolay? Wow. I remember my
yeah.
cousin was in Demolay. That's
Mm-hmm.
crazy. Wow.
And then I show the Supreme Court of Israel. The Supreme Court building is a World Conference Center of the Masonic.
Mm.
They wear the gold aprons. It's a higher level. And now you see the Knights of Pythias emblems, where you see the knight at the side there. And then you see the skull and bones with the Knights of Pythias.
Yeah.
You
So
see the Masonic
what
with the Knights
what
of Pythias.
the Israeli Supreme Court building? What's the Masonic?
That's over on your left, right below the Masonic family. That's the Israeli Supreme Court building itself, and how they have it structured, and the pyramid on the top. And it's the World Conference Center of the Masonic.
Geez. Wow.
And then it was Schumer. Schumer and Anthony Weiner are the only two named on the living people, because they don't name living people. It's on the pages of memorial where they're dead that you get to find out the actual names, and then they can say they don't want to be named even on the memorial pages. This is how they entertain people. They took over the entertainment industry. That's just a sample on the left. And you see Charles Schumer, that is the day of the impeachment hearing in January of 2020.
Right. January 23.
And that was his first impeachment hearing, and they weren't supposed to be talking in the chamber. And he came back in, spoke to the woman who was recording for a while, and you're not supposed to be talking in the Senate chamber. Then he come over to get in his seat, and a demonic entity was in the seat. So that's why you see him trying to usher him out of his seat. Then when he sits in his seat, he's annoyed because the demonic entity just moved to the seat next to him, and he's in conversation with the demonic entity during the hearing of impeachment against President Trump.
Holy moly, good catch. Unbelievable.
I did an interview the very next day on it. God had me look it up, and then LT took my interview and talked about it, and then showed when he did it and put my book up and everything, he put the map of America, and you see the crescent design. Those are the biggest castles in that design of the Knights of Pythias, and that's exactly the areas where Soros took over the DAs, the judges,
Oh, wow.
and he's been paying them the whole time.
Jeez. Unbelievable. Yeah, incredible.
Okay, now go back just one page. Okay, do you see we're heading into chapter 13.41? So now we've gone from student unrest to what? Separate children from parents' family. They emphasize the need to raise children away from the negative influences of their parents, attribute prejudice, mental blocks, retarding of children to suppression influence of parents. So the whole thing, the whole 45 points completely separates the family, breaks down so that you have no connection with your parents. Look at all the TV commercials who try and be funny, but it's don't be like your parents. You know, you're acting like your parents. Didn't we just talk about this? Don't start acting like your parents. And it's on insurance commercials, it's on pharmaceutical commercials. They're all saying, you know, well, that's probably what your parents did. Don't ever do that. You know, it's right in the commercials.
And what's it? Remember Hillary Clinton? It takes a village, you know, to raise children. So they again, like you're talking about, get them away from the family.
Yeah, let us influence them, let us indoctrinate them.
Yes.
And this is how much we've changed. This is the beginning of the 1900s. Look at that first school bus.
Wow.
That's a school bus in the early 1900s, and everybody thinks we've had Ford motor cars. But then I put the California Coast Road by San Diego. You can see the California Coast Road. It's all made by our men with lumber.
Wow. That's impressive.
And it's because they started to have cars. Do you see what I mean? They the first race in Lakeside, California, had the first racing cars, and they were like go-karts. They didn't even have steering. I did a thing for them on their 100-year anniversary in 2007, from 1907, and it was so interesting to see what they were doing. And you see, now we're to chapter 14, the next point, 40. Now we've gone from 43 to 40, and look what it says: discredit, destroy the family. Discredit the family as an institution, encourage promiscuity and easy divorce.
Yeah.
So
that's
the
what
45 just go down a
brought
slippery
in.
slope. I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's what Playboy, you know, Hugh Hefner, Marilyn Monroe, that's what they brought in. Marilyn Monroe being his first playmate on the cover, and playmate within the centerfold. So she was part of the MK Ultra and Monarch and all that stuff. You know, programs. She was, like we saw, you know, involved with the president and his brother. So, you know, that they brainwash these women basically to do these things. We've had Kathy O'Brien on to talk about all of this. So it is part of their programming. You know, it's not anything new. Jeffrey Epstein, they've been doing this for a long time. Jeffrey Epstein, of course, was part of their plan. P. Diddy it's all part of like bringing them in, corrupting them, and using their corruptness now to control them.
Well, and the tunnels underneath, Hugh Hefner, the tunnels that connect with all these other places, the same as the tunnels underneath the White House and the Capitol, and how they go to their residences. So everything can be done privately and secretly, like all the societies. Everything is done in secret, and you only get to be involved in this once you become part of the club, but you don't even know when you're being brought into it what you're going to be obligated to.
Yeah, so it says in the Bible, James 1:26-27, scripture confirms the only undefiled religion is to see that to the needs of the fatherless, the widows and orphans, which include the single mothers and their children who have an orphan's heart. So they're going after everything now. They want to and we're seeing that you know, they're in France, of course, they're destroying the cathedrals. Same thing in England, same thing here in America. We're seeing a lot of Christian churches which are being burned. They're covering it up. They're not even talking about it anymore.
Nobody gets to know what happened underground. Epstein is no different. Epstein Temple. There's a video of that one where they did the blood sacrifice, and that's where they wear the white with the red. And those who can't have a voice about it are masked. And then the ones with the circle, like the knights on the round table, they're all 6 feet apart. These guys are hooded and in black. What would you call it? They're black and hooded, and they're all caped. That's what a cape with a hood. and they're masked if they're not to speak as to what they make decisions about. And once those decisions are made, those people that are there have to carry out what they're told to do. And they don't know walking into it what that's going to be. But that level of loyalty is required all the way up to get to those top levels. And that's why the truth about all of this is just incomprehensible. But I'm due to get a book, and as soon as I get it, I'm going to make sure that you and Tracy know about it. A woman's family was all Knights of Pythias, and
Wow.
she has all these ancient books about the Knights of Pythias.
Hmm.
And her father or grandfather just died, and she's shipping me all these books because they were just going to get rid of them. And when she heard me talk about it, she said, "You might be interested." I don't know what they're going to include or what they're going to cover, but she's shipping all those books.
Wow, that's going to be fabulous. Very, and like you're talking about, make divorce easy, birth control pills, 2 day after pills, abortion of tens of millions, more than 64 million at this point. And then of course they're injecting people with what they call vaccinations. Of course, these are destroying everything within people, making them sterile, like you're talking about here, disable them, result in death. It's insane. So people are not awake to this, and your book and these conversations that we're having is part of same-sex marriages. So it's just destroying the family completely.
Every step, every step. And I have pictures of people who've run up to us who are in their 60s and 70s, and their mother, being divorced, raised them and had several jobs, and they know they love their mother, but they always felt something was very wrong. And when they heard the interviews that I've been doing about, they have an orphan's heart, so we're helping as many single mothers now as we can, because they don't have a father to counsel them and assist them through answers in life. Because it doesn't mean mom doesn't have good counseling, it just means there's something different about the lineage and the connection, because the lineage is direct from your father to the Father in heaven. And when I went through situations in my life, I made sure my dad knew that he was still responsible, because he's my direct connect. And he was so honored. He said, "So you realize that?" I said, "It makes a huge difference." And so I discussed everything with him and reviewed everything with him. And I was just so honored that he lived to be 94, and I just had such an amazing life with him. But these kids are now they're 60s and 70s. They're running up, and I'm making sure they get a hug from my security, and then we take a picture. They did not have any idea that anything existed like an orphan's heart, but then we validated everything with them, and it changed everything for them. It was amazing to see the change. They still had the tears. We kept using cloth to get rid of the tears, but we still had tears in the pictures. It just so endearing to know that we can now come through all these things, because we're here for each other. And people said, "Well, how can we change this world?" I said, one person at a time. Keep having a conversation. I had a high school friend just call me this week, and she has mentioned some of this before, but she said, "We didn't really get together until the last reunion, and I hadn't seen you in so many years because I was in California for so long, and this is Nebraska." And she said, "We had a conversation," and I thought, she's gone a little bit crazy. This woman is just a little bit crazy, but she said, "You're so deep that I just found it intriguing." And so the more I kept talking with you, the more I stayed in touch with you. And then you shared some of your books with me. So then she got the rest of the books, and she said, "You gave me, as a lifetime Catholic, the opportunity to get a relationship with God. And now I'm sharing it with my children, my grandchildren, and I'm seeing changes in them. And I just am so grateful. I could have died without knowing, because I had no idea that there was anything like this. Because her parents everybody was Catholic, all sides of her family. Remember, we used to have to marry whatever religion you were raised in, and
Right.
and so everything about her life was Catholic. And when she got that relationship, now she said, "I can understand things. I'm not just questioning all the time. What do you think happened about this? And what does this mean? I know I have that relationship, and I can get through these things." And she never knew before. So that was just one person, and now look at the whole family has changed. And I could give you a bunch of examples, but this one's real close to my heart because we went to school together. And so I just always thought other people knew because they went to church every Sunday. Look how much I've learned since then. So if I can share truth just with one person, I know it's going to make a difference.
Most definitely. So another thing, this is one point that's very interesting. Dominate psychiatry, control human opinion. Now, President Trump wants to bring back, these. I guess they shut down a lot of the places where people would get psychiatric help, and they've been shut down, for many years, and he wants to bring them back. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, now that's separate.
Mm-hmm.
They've been put on these mental cases. They've been put in this direction, purposeful, to not understand themselves at all. And so the difference in this, they wanted to dominate so that what happens when you're a witness on a case, they send you to be evaluated, and the psychiatrist says that you're not truthful. That's what this psychiatry was set up for. And that's why they're using it to evaluate children, to get children in CPS, Child Protective Services, to speak against their parents and grandparents, or they're twisting them toward that direction, documenting it, and then pretty soon they can't go back to their family. That's what this was all about. Control human opinion so that it aligns with our thinking. Because they don't want us saying what the truth is in the public square, in the marketplace. They don't want us saying it. They don't want us influencing anybody. And that's what caused everybody to become part of the silent majority. We've been the majority the whole time, but we have not used our voice.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things that are being exposed. We're close to the point where I think it really starts to kick in even more. More violence, unfortunately. What do you think happens when the violence becomes more extreme? So we just saw President Trump was going to go into Chicago. Chicago resisted, so he's now, it sounds like he's not going to go into Chicago. But there is down in New Orleans, they're asking for his help. So he's talking about actually sending troops, National Guard, into New Orleans. So are we going to see some of these, deep state cities and states like Chicago and Illinois basically not have the resources to overcome their criminal activities? So I guess the day after Trump said he's not going in Chicago, I saw a video where like a mob of criminals went into a mall and stole everything in the mall. Kind of like there you go. You're not going to come in now. We're just going to steal everything from, Chicago. We're completely tear this city and this state down. What are your thoughts?
Well, he has said that I'm going to send them. I'm going to send them to your cities, and so he has the right to do that because it is a federal status. And they don't understand because they've never operated. They've operated on their own system, so they haven't operated on the Constitution. In the Constitution, the protection is for us, the legal, we the people, and that's what our National Guard has been for, is protection of us. They've even started deploying the National Guard just like they do the military.
Yeah.
And so putting them out in other nations, fighting other issues. They've used a lot of our guys to be involved with the UN forces, going into nations and doing things that our guys have tried to tell people about, and nobody seemed to want to understand. Well, what do you mean our people are fighting with the UN troops? And now we realize those helmets and those berets in the blue are in their lockers, and if they have to flip and switch that way here, that's what it is. And I think last time we shared the Kissinger, the little Kissinger plan, and that was, you think you don't want the UN forces, but when the situation becomes so extreme, that's what you're going to want. And I think all of this is, by sharing all of this, and I'm so grateful for you, Jaco, because we've been able to get this truth out to the people, is that we, the people, have the opportunity to turn this around. We don't have to accept this as our reality, and we don't have to let this be passed on to the third and fourth generation. It's up to us to stop it. Why is the biggest UN force of protection on Mount Hermon, where the angels fell? Why is UN interested in that? And why are we paying for all of this if we paid for that building? People don't know this. Our Congress paid for that whole restoration, saying that they had problems with the asbestos. And so we paid for all of this. Trump tried to stop him. He said, get the UN off of our shores. Don't have these people coming in getting diplomatic privileges and pouches to bring in whatever they want to bring in, because they
Right.
were bringing in ID documents made in Egypt. When I found the guy in San Diego, they tried him in the district court, and guess what? He was fined $1,500, and he makes 5,000 a packet. And they
Oh,
fined him $1,500, and they didn't even deport him.
gee.
So, and that's back, guys. That's back a couple decades ago. So
Yeah.
everything we've been trying has not been working because we weren't working together. That's why this whole 45 points, when you break apart a family, you're not going to have unity anywhere in the country, because then everybody has different ideas. We found out that in COVID, we couldn't even get together for Thanksgiving, and people were worried about only getting 6 people together. But then when we were talking about what we thought the truth was, nobody agreed with us. And so we found all of that out. And so that disunity, that divide and conquer, has been so successful for them. I mean, if you divide the people, I mean, they pretty much take care of themselves. You don't even have to fight them, because they'll just take each other out. And that's what's been going on in America. And a dear friend just told me this week, they came in from Africa to Dallas, Texas a few years ago. And the people said, well, what do you find the difference in Africa and Dallas, Texas? And this is a few years ago. She said, it's already been like this in Africa. You guys are about where Africa was 20 years ago, but you're headed in the same direction.
Wow.
How does that make us feel?
Not good.
Because the fight is us. We're fighting each other. What happened to Charlie had nothing to do with the government. It's indoctrinating people to fight each other.
No kidding. Wow. So Sheila, people can find you with you have a couple books out. We've talked about that. We talked about it today. We showed some of it. An eternal plan always trumps a human plan. How to counter the 45 points used to destroy America and the world. Of course, we're going into how they're attacking our children to turn against us. And then, of course, a warrior's battlefield strategy devotional, countering the tactics of the enemy, fear, doubt, and unbelief. And of course, we also saw your YouTube channel, or not YouTube, but your X channel. And what was that again?
It's just at Sheila Holm.
At Sheila Holmes. Okay, very good. Anything else? Any last words?
But when you quickly scrolled through and you saw that black woman with a Native American Indian headdress on,
Yeah.
that was a female Cherokee chief. And when I showed that all throughout Georgia, they were just shocked, because Georgia was about 1/3 Cherokee, but other states were too. North Carolina has Cherokee, North Carolina, and they have a museum of the Cherokee. But the tribes were everywhere. People wrote in after we talked about this. So I'm just briefly going to mention this. They said, well, the Native Americans weren't everywhere in America. They were on the East Coast. Well, no, that's not true. They were spread all across the country. They'd been here since 621 BC. Imagine how many families they had. I mean, it's just people don't understand how many years they were here. They were here when Christ came in, when he came with some of the disciples. And they still talk about that, because they transported here and spoke to them and met with them and shared things with them that they're still talking about. But that woman, that proves they weren't Redskins. And so many people in Georgia realized that their relatives look like this. And the children, it's right below her picture. The children of the Native American Indians were removed from their families, required to attend the public
That's
schools.
right.
And they spoke against their families and separated them from their families. The same thing that's in these 45 points against our children.
Wow. Wow. That's how they destroy the American Indian families. Yeah. No kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Unbelievable. Yep.
So,
They're again. They're successful. They did it.
mm-hmm.
They did it in Canada. They're trying to do it in Canada again with the children. Even if a child says that, I'm having a bad day, I want to commit suicide, they're allowing that now in Canada.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because it's the whole goal.
Yeah.
There's a wonderful film, and I think I mentioned it here, but it's called The Rabbit Fence. Have you ever seen that movie, The Rabbit Fence of the Aborigines?
No.
They built what they call a rabbit fence, and that was separating all of the Aborigine tribes from the people, because they were the original people too. So they're probably part of the tribes of Israel. And so the Aborigine children, because they're all believers, the Aborigines are all believers. They have an intuition in them that is so deep. It's amazing being with them. And I was so grateful to be invited to be with them for a long time. But I had not seen this rabbit fence movie until I got back from Australia. And what happened is these 2 or 3 girls escaped and they got all the way home. And then they came back and captured him again and took him back to that school again. And the 2 sisters out of those 3 walked all the way back again. I mean, it's a huge distance. They got all the way home again on their own instincts. Okay. And when they got home the second time, they decided to leave him at home. And that's the basis of this whole movie. And it's true. And you'll see how forceful they were. And that's how they were with the Native American Indian children who were not red-skinned people. And that Kenneth Branagh, he was a famous actor and he's so mean in this. But these are the girls. And then they got back home 2 times. And the second time they didn't force them to go back. So it's a powerful movie. And probably available on demand. So, yeah. But I have it on DVD, but it's a powerful movie. It says the same story. They went through decades before our children were forced into public schools, and see what I mean?
Yeah.
And then they're indoctrinating them. The root goes all the way back. They had to get the children thinking their way because they don't want to think like believers. They don't want more people like us around. And it's everywhere in the world.
And I'm at an event here in Dallas, and I was talking to a gentleman and his wife, and they said they raised 7 children, and all of them are homeschooled. None of them vaccinated. It's all amazing. I listen to more and more people like that. I have several friends that are like that. 3 generations, all of them homeschooled, doctors, chiropractors. I mean, just high up. None of them vaccinated. It can be done, and looks like we may have to start to move in that direction before we can clean it all up.
That you've hit on the main key. We've got to keep them safe from vaccines, indoctrination, the books created by Lucius Trust. Their 100-year plan, we need to rip it apart and go forward with our 100-year plan for truth and peace in this country.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, Sheila, always a pleasure and an honor to speak with you. You bring so much great information for America and obviously for the world, because the world wants to, push back right now, in England right now and Australia. Of course, we had that beautiful film. Looks like people hopefully will. I'm definitely going to watch that. Thanks for sharing that. But it is an indoctrination plan they've been doing for a long time. We have to learn what it is, and we have to push back. We have to stop it.
Well, and the timing of you doing that interview on the Warriors Battlefield Strategy Devotional, I can't even begin to tell you how many testimonies I've received. Because and they said, did you know he was doing this book? I mean, this book and the way he described it, and it's happening for me too. I've only been in it for a few days because so many of them ordered it immediately. I want to thank you because you're changing so many lives.
That's good.
Thank you for what you're doing.
It's a great book.
We just picked one book and look what happened.
Yeah. That's awesome. Thanks so much, Sheila, and lots of love to you and all the people that are out there that are going to see this and hopefully start to look at your books and see the game plan for how we can save America. It was shared with you from a source, and we can learn a lot from it. I'm learning a lot from you, so I appreciate it.
And me from you. We're in this together.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, and look forward to the next show.
Bless you.